Coming to you from the Loading Ready Run orbiting underground moon base, it's the LRRcast. Doot, doot.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
All right. I thought we were going somewhere with that.
Sorry, I was someplace else.
Fair enough. It's the holidays.
It's
Well,
true.
I mean, it's the 11th, so we're rapidly approaching the holidays.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You would be forgiven for thinking that it is already deep into Christmas season.
Yeah. Now, Christmas itself, obviously, is much later in the month. But is it safe to call this Christmas time?
Well, my
The holiday season.
Yeah.
parents would have been putting up the tree today, since it is now 2 weeks until Christmas.
Would have been.
Would have been.
I feel like
Presumably.
we're ramping,
But then
we're
the
ramping
tree
into it.
exploded or...
Yeah, I don't know. Everything burned down.
Oh.
No, I mean, like 2 weeks was the threshold, at least.
Yeah, this is about when my parents would do it as well.
Mhm.
We're talking about Christmas traditions. We say Christmas traditions because that's happens to be what all of us observe. Or at least, if there's anything to be observed, it would be Christmas, as far as we are concerned. And it was a big deal in my house growing up. Not for any religious reason, but just because it was like, it was an excuse to decorate. Let's be frank. My parents, my dad especially, big fans of that sort of stuff. And at the time, we lived in a house that was built in 1892, and so it lent itself to sort of very high Victorian Christmas decorations with like swags and garland and all sorts of stuff. So it was, like we enjoyed and observed other days of celebration throughout the year, but hold on to your asses for Christmas because we went to town on the house as far as Christmas was concerned. But we're gonna be talking about Christmas traditions that we have, that our family has, such as they are. Some of us have more than others. So what's up with your tree? What was your average tree like?
The average tree was, as long as I remember it, has been an artificial tree that is like 7 feet tall, and I don't know. We would put lights on it and
So they,
little
like,
colored glass balls.
Fluff it up every year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was one of the ones that's just like a pole that you stick the branches into. It was very assembly, and they
okay.
were all color coded.
Cool.
I remember doing that with my dad.
We have an artificial tree right now, actually, myself and Kathleen, that we may not set up this year just because we're really busy with this tiny human. But it's basically 3 umbrellas.
Oh, okay.
3 concentric. You just take out the big base and it goes thump.
Right.
And then you take out the middle one, it goes thump, and then thump, and then you just sort of
Right,
stack
right,
them up
right.
like that, which is real easy for setup, I tell you that. But probably looks better. Less like it's been in a box all year.
I suppose so. I mean, it was really tempting to just leave it as the unadorned Festivus pole. But, it looks
Or just with
really
like one
good.
branch sticking
Yeah.
out.
Like, my family isn't religious at all.
No.
We don't observe Christmas in its mode as nominally a Christian holiday. But, I mean, everyone else is doing it. It's kind of nice. It looks pretty. Everyone likes...
Gives you an excuse to have a meal and hang out and give presents, and
Yeah,
that's fun.
I mean...
I love all the traditions around Christmas.
Yeah, I love, like, all of the... I don't know, what was it originally called? Was it Samhain?
I have no idea.
The pagan tradition that... No, Saturnalia,
Oh, yeah.
right?
It's
That was the Roman holiday.
Celebrating the winter solstice.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, solstice celebrations. I mean, like, I like having a lot of bright lights in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it's nice.
And colorful things, and...
I had a friend growing up who, his family, as he told me, celebrated the solstice.
Okay.
And I went to their house, and it looked exactly like Christmas. And this was clearly just a delineation that they were making, that it's
Right.
like, this is pointedly not religious.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
we are observing the solstice. with our solstice tree and our solstice lights. And
Yeah,
our
on the
solstice
25th.
Nog on the 25th. Yeah, exactly. Well, even though the solstice is the 22nd.
Yeah,
I guess,
21st.
but
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, I was just like, it took me until much later in life, because this was like in grade 4.
Mhm.
It took me until much later when I was like,
yeah.
I
Okay.
get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the tree is actually also a pagan thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, a lot of it is boards.
yeah,
and other
I mean,
stuff.
it's like, hey, that you hear the stories about the early church fathers being like, yes, we also celebrate a solstice holiday. We call it Christ Mass. And it does all the same things that you have.
So
And people
how
are like,
convenient.
oh, yes, I would,
Oh,
I'd
tell me
like to
more.
subscribe to your newsletter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We always had a live tree,
Mm-hmm.
but I mentioned like the swags and garland and everything. So our dining room was large, and these were 10.5-foot ceilings because again this house was built in the 1890s, and in the dining room we would do there was like a center light fixture, and we'd do these swags that would go from the center light fixture out to the 4 corners of the room and then sort of hang down the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one over, sort of like swagging over a sideboard. And they all had like lights and like fake berries and stuff in them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And loved how they looked, enjoyed putting them up. The worst part of Christmas decorating in our house was fluffing the swags. Because you have to just...
Oh, that sounds pretty great.
I know. You have to go along the whole length of it. Because this is not a small room, and it's the whole... It's... The distance on these swags was not insignificant, and you're going along the whole length of it, like, because they've been in a box all year,
Right.
sort of making them all stick straight out and not look, bent and crumpled and whatever, make it look like they're actually real.
Right.
It just took so long.
Well, I mean, like, my mother would put in a lot of effort into decorating the house around Christmas time, and it still does, I think. And so we would get, like, trees and wreaths and lights, and she had a collection of, like, angels. And here I am claiming that we're not religious, but I think she likes the way they look.
It's part of the iconography.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Like, it's, the semiotics of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, also because we didn't have, we had synthetic boughs and trees, she would get actual cedar boughs, right, for the smell,
Right.
which I always really loved.
Yeah, we would always get fir trees. And again, I mentioned the 10.5-foot ceilings. Like a 6 or 7-foot tree looks smaller than that in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
we would always go to the Christmas tree lot and be like, where are your big trees? And we'd have to get usually you'd have to get like a 12-foot tree, because you have to like buck a certain amount off at the bottom.
Right.
And then there's like one spindly thing at the top, and they're like, yeah, that's another foot right there. And we're like,
Like,
oh,
no,
okay, fine.
yeah.
And then it would get like a natural thing. That was what my dad always asked for, a 12-foot bushy natural tree.
Right.
Natural as opposed to the ones that they prune
Oh.
that just look like cones,
Right.
because they look very strange, and you can't. It's harder to decorate because we would.
Right.
Again, my dad worked in exhibits at the museum, and so when we're decorating this tree, we'd run because indoor lights come in basically 2 sizes, like the mini lights. It's all different now with LED lights, but you have like the mini lights and then the slightly larger like
Bulbs.
actual incandescent bulbs.
Mhm.
That we eventually moved to LED, but we take the mini lights, because you hang the lights first. We'd take the mini lights and run them up the inside very near the trunk, and then the other lights further out.
Oh.
And then we'd hang small glass Christmas balls near the top to larger glass Christmas balls at the bottom, which added this amazing sense of depth and perspective to the tree.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah, it made it look very, very deep, and we'd always like hang ornaments like far within the tree to add like I said, a sense of depth. Whereas with the ones that are very, very, very tightly pruned, you're just sort of like sticking bits to the outside.
Yeah, and like all the balls are like canted outwards. Yeah, no, that's very peculiar.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Christmas was really enjoyable, especially when I was a kid,
Oh,
right?
well,
In like
yeah.
elementary school and high school. Like it's not just, getting presents because you're a selfish child, but just the the entire, I guess, Christmas affair, right?
Yeah.
The time off, and yeah, it made home, because I come from northern BC, where December is
A frozen hellscape.
basically Antarctica,
Yeah.
right? Like, it made coming home feel especially warm exactly when you needed it, when winter is at its darkest.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of the talk about that as being like a lot of the reasoning behind, like it's like if we didn't have Christmas, we would want to have some kind of holiday there. The idea that the coldest, darkest time of the year needs some sort of thing
Antidote.
there. Yeah.
Some kind of just like balls out, hog wild celebration,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's Northern Hemisphere, but
Well, yeah.
Because my parents ran their own business, they would basically close from like the 23rd until the New Year usually. So it meant that they were home for like a week between Christmas and New Year's, and as was I, obviously, because I was at a school, and it was really nice. Would your family leave the tree up until 12th night?
Which is 12th night?
January 6th, I think.
I think Mom
the Feast of Stephen
would usually have taken it down by then.
We put so much effort into it that we were really trying to get whatever we could out of it.
Get your value off of it.
Yeah, it was always
right?
a fir too, big Douglas fir. Though recently we've had to switch to different breeds, species, different brand of tree,
right?
Because sometimes you can't always get the big Douglas fir. But yeah, I think pretty sure it's January 6th is 12th night, and also the Feast of Stephen, as in from the song.
I don't remember any particular day being like, today is the day to get rid of the tree.
That was also usually coinciding with the last weekend that the firemen would do the free, but the for charity tree disposal. So it's if we don't get it out now, we got to take care of this thing ourselves.
Yeah, right. I think that was more like, it was just sort of after Christmas. It was kind of once we had some time to, when people were like, okay, time to go now.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a specific day where it was like, if it's here after this day, then we're all doomed.
Yeah.
For me, it was like, Christmas traditions, I guess, are sort of quite separated between sort of, I guess, like school and after, like once me and my brother left home, Christmas changed a fair amount in my family.
Yeah.
Like when I was really young, my family has never been like super religious, but when I was really young, we did like go to church and stuff. And so we would go to like Christmas, the Christmas service and stuff. But it's Anglican, so it's not really hardcore church anyway.
Right.
And we started, it was one of those things where it's like, go to church all the time, and then you start going to church less, and then you like just go to church on like Easter and Christmas.
Right.
And then you just don't go at all. Like, it's part of the transition
out of the graduated the two big masses of the year, like church methadone.
Yeah.
Church
and so
methadone.
So
I
you
thought they were called Methodists.
I was about to make. I was like struggling for that joke, and I couldn't land it.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I know. It's tricky.
But they before, when my brother and I were kids and when we were younger, we would kind of do it up. My mom in particular was into the again, more into the sort of family aspect of it, and doing up the tree, and usually we'd sort of do kind of like she'd like to do like a little kind of scene on the mantelpiece.
Right.
Put like a white sheet down. It kind of looked like snow and had little figures and stuff she put up. And so I used to help out with that kind of stuff and things. And then there's the transition where, of course, when the kids start adding presents to the tree themselves, where it's not when you're like, oh, I've got to get up early and put the presents under the tree myself, otherwise the presents aren't going to be under the tree. that whole process.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
cool. Accepting gifts from Santa, we would just put presents under the tree whenever in the week leading
yeah.
up.
But my mom always
A bunch of stuff always seems to show up on the morning, though. I tell you what.
my mom always liked the nothing and then boom, all the presents.
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So-
That's good. I dig that. See, that's good. This is the sort of the the interesting minutia of the things. On Christmas morning, I was never like the it's 5 a.m. Santa, running around. My sister, on the other hand, definitely did that, and that's where the stockings came into play.
Yeah.
Because the stockings were like the distraction.
Yeah, they're the decoy.
Yeah, and it's like you wake up whenever you want.
Go get your stocking.
Go get your stockings. You wake us up at 8. Was what my parents. That was their thing. So Kate would come into my room and we'd go through our stockings together, and there was always some sort of periodical. So broadly speaking, considering the ages we were at the time, generally speaking, I would get like a copy of Macworld, and she would get like an Archie comic.
Yeah.
Right.
Some sort of terrible dollar store toy from Chinatown Importers.
Yeah.
Like just something that would break immediately. I don't know, like a squirt gun or I don't know, something. A bag of chocolate coins. A mandarin orange.
Yep. Always the mandarin orange in the toe.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. It fills the toe out.
Yeah.
It's just smart. So
Yeah, it gives the illusion of being a foot.
One year I didn't eat it, and it dried up completely and turned into a hard. It didn't rot. It just dried completely.
Right.
And
mummified.
Yeah, just a little hard, like the size of a walnut. Also walnuts. There was also like just some nuts that also never got eaten. And then like some sort of personal hygiene product, like a travel toothbrush or a comb.
Huh. Yeah. No, like I would always get because my mother sewed. She made us all like these wonderful stockings.
Oh, nice.
Mine had lace and ribbons because I was fancy. And I still get that stocking every year because I loves it. But yeah, it would be like the mandarin orange in the toe and like a chocolate bar, and specifically like the fruit and nut chocolate bars. Like it wasn't like, an O. Henry. It was like this very specific brand.
Dairy milk?
Yeah, Dairy Milk with the purple wrapper.
Oh, and the chocolate letter. Like you can get them, they're about like 5 or 6 inches tall. They're like thick milk or dark chocolate, just a letter of the alphabet.
Oh, really?
And so we'd get like a G and a K.
Oh, okay.
Get like our first initials.
Yeah.
They were a fine chocolate. They were okay.
What else? Always like a calendar that would be like a structural element.
Oh yeah, no, the periodical was great because the Macworld would make like a tube.
Yeah.
In the thing, and then they could just fill everything in it. Because for years I actually had I wasn't even that big into peanuts. Don't tell Kathleen, but it was a Snoopy stocking that was knitted.
Oh really?
Which was great, but the inside was a complete shit show because it was again knitted, and the interior yarn would just catch on everything.
Oh,
it was awful.
Yeah, no, that's no good.
So if you just coat the inside with a copy of Mac Addict.
Good strategy.
Yeah, and like also a
Strategy
magazine,
and
and for me it
tactics.
was like usually like a copy of Scientific American or Discover.
Yeah. Oh
and-
man, you just blew my mind back to when I read Owl magazine.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I remember getting Chickadee in elementary school.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Chickadee you got before Owl.
Yeah.
The
Whoa.
my very, very similar for stockings for me. Only difference being, I think I mentioned on the podcast before, my dad is a gardener, landscape gardener, wears enormous wool socks
Oh.
because he's a gardener.
Oh no.
So
Right.
our stockings were actual socks.
Not just his socks.
They were like, clean ones.
Right.
But they were like this big. And there's one specific type of socks that we would use specifically for that.
Nice.
Now you
But
have
they
to
were real socks.
now I have to wonder if like some kids actually get like actual stockings. Right. Yeah, this one's mom's fishnets.
Oh no, there's a run. All right, I want to talk about food real quick. Specifically, fruitcake. So here's what's up with fruitcake. People apparently don't like it much. It's like a punchline of a thing that you get like the fruitcake, the like really, really heavy cake. I happen to actually enjoy it. The one boom. Awesome. Like the one that you buy from the grocery store, like not even the good kind of fruitcake. I actually kind of like that. Regardless, I still understand that is a lie. That is bullshit fruitcake. So here's fruitcake. You're supposed to make it in like October.
Yeah.
For one thing. The actual cake part is barely there. It is a binding agent for all the nuts and dried fruit that you put into this thing.
Yeah, also it helps to absorb the brandy.
Yes, because then every couple weeks you take it out and you prick holes in the top and you soak it in brandy and then you put it back away again.
Yeah.
And then in December you crack it out and eat it and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Family recipe.
my problem with fruitcake has always been that I just don't like that like candied fruit very
Which is
much.
totally fine.
Which is
I'm actually
essentially all of fruitcake.
the actual like the candied fruit, like the really like the red and green.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's actually my least favorite part of the fruitcake.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the fruits and nuts. I like those.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've which is why
Pumpkin
growing up,
pie is more my Christmas like go-to dessert.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Because
I've never had pumpkin pie at Christmas.
No?
No, well, because we had
I mean, it's a little after. But.
so like the Christmas dessert for us, right? Like we've got like this fruitcake, like minced, because usually it's not just myself and my family. Usually there's like one or two close family friend guests, and so it'll be like 8 or 9 people, and so we'll do like a big do, and so for dessert options, there's the fruitcake I mentioned. There's minced tarts. My mom makes a chocolate bunt cake, which is fantastic. My dad's family's Scottish shortbread recipe, which is it's butter and sugar pressed together and baked. Like it's not.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if there's other ingredients. Maybe a pinch of salt. I don't know. Like it's real good, but wow. And a Christmas pudding, which typically my mom brings back or gets sent her from Marks and Spencer's. in England.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we do the whole thing with like I guess it is brandy as well, heating up a little bit of the.
So
like
a lot of Christmas traditions involve alcohol in some way.
It warms you up. You cook you bake the pudding and then you flop it upside down on the plate, and then you put a sprig of holly there, which will get momentarily immolated. Then you heat up the brandy, light it, and pour it over top, and then you carry it into the room on fire. Again,
Neat.
it's a very, very Victorian tradition.
Yeah. No,
not Victoria the city, like the era.
Yeah, no, that's deeply legitimate Christmas shit.
Yeah. So, pumpkin pie's never come up at Christmas, but I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Because I love pumpkin pie.
My mother's family was, deeply Catholic, and so when she was little, they would go and do, Christmas midnight mass,
Right.
and come home to since there were 45 kids, there would be tortilla and a ham and a turkey and butter tarts and everything, right? And what's endured from that is the butter tarts and cinnamon rolls, which.
If you've got to keep something of the tradition. That's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
and I need to point out here, my mother's cinnamon buns and butter tarts are actually qualitatively the finest in the universe.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be some kind of double-blind test on that.
Yeah, my mother doesn't have any to compare it to, but if you're able to provide any of your mothers, I would love to.
I'd
love to investigate.
We'll see what's going on.
I found out recently, and I'm talking 2 or 3 weeks ago, that butter tarts are Canadian.
Yeah.
I didn't
I know,
realize
right?
that they were unique. They were a unique thing.
I think the closest American analog is pecan pie.
I think so. But
Right,
butter
but-
tarts don't have pecan.
Yeah, they're just like the gooey matrix.
Yeah.
With
I think
raisins?
That's,
With
I think
raisins
that's
and
exactly
stuff.
what
Yeah.
they are, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes walnuts too.
Yeah.
Or I
You
guess
say-
no. Wait, Americans don't they have something called sugar pie?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but this is made with maple syrup instead of
But it's also not maple sugar pie, which is a thing from Quebec.
right.
Which is, I believe, Greg Proops described it as diet crack.
Which is just
It's just-
syrup in a pie shell.
It's syrup in a pie shell. Yeah, he was doing a stand-up bit
Right.
before they did Whose Line.
Mhm.
Like they did a touring Whose Line show, and Greg Proops came out and did a stand-up bit on French Canada.
Mhm.
And he was like, after having the maple sugar pie on part of the tour, we were like, F it, we're walking to Victoria.
Yeah, no, that
But yeah,
That sounds
butter
reasonable.
tarts, you should investigate those if you're not from around here. I'm sure there's recipes online. They're real good.
Actually, thinking about that though, that reminds me of being in French Immersion or program called as an elementary school student,
Mhm.
and doing all of the like deeply French Canadian Christmas stuff with like Bonhomme Carnaval. But
Yeah,
we
You
would
were in French
also
immersion as well.
yeah,
Oh,
from
cool, 'cause-
kindergarten to grade 12.
So was wow.
I was still grade 5.
Oh, okay.
So, but yes, basically, yeah. My strongest memories of French immersion are like Bonhomme and Carnaval and
Yeah.
those aspects of it, and I still it shows up every once in a while in Loading Ready Run videos and stuff. I still have
Yeah.
like a weird thing. It's like that's totally normal.
Yeah,
Bonhomme,
yeah.
by the way,
Mhm.
is the literalist translation is good man, but he's a snowman character. He actually looks an awful lot like Bibendum, the Michelin Man,
Yeah.
except he's wearing he has a red sash belt
Yeah.
and a sort of a voyageur hat.
yeah.
Actually, Jacques Francois from the Canada Man sketches is dressed like Bonhomme,
Which
Yeah.
which is also
which is intentional.
and which is also like I think Bonhomme's dress is sort of supposed to be like a voyageur or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's sort of a traditional thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all like tied into the Quebec thing. But like, did you do the toffee on snow?
Oh,
Every once in a while,
I've
yeah.
heard of it. I've never actually tried that myself.
Oh, it
Really?
sucks. It's awful.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
If anybody
never sets properly.
ever offers to do that, then don't do it. Just bring it over here and I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, what? How does it? It's literally you just take some snow and
Yeah, it's super good.
Because I was like, I'm not on board with this, and inevitably, like, I would find it weeks later during our desk clean out thing in elementary school, where I'd be like, oh, thank you. And then, because it would always be handed to you on wax paper, because they would drizzle it on snow for it to set
Right.
and cool, and then, like, put it onto wax paper and hand it to the kids. And I was like, okay, thanks. Fold it over and put it in my desk.
What you don't? It's super good.
oh, we have
We have a
conflicting opinions.
yeah, no, I
So
mean,
is it literally you take a bunch of snow and you pour hot toffee over it so that it
Yeah,
sets?
or sometimes it's with maple syrup too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
and then it like sets. So I mean, it's not like putting it on snow it's still toffee or
Yeah.
syrup, right?
What-
It's not gonna
so-
go. It's not gonna be bad.
What is
No,
it?
no.
What's the end result? Like, is it
it's like a gooey, chewy,
like it sort of mixes together?
a
It
little,
doesn't set hard.
yeah.
Right.
It's
It sets-
more
sets
kind
gooey.
of like a gooey thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like caramelly kind of that kind of texture.
But then also really cold, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm learning new things. This is great.
I mean, one thing actually that we used to do, especially when my grandparents were around, is so my dad's a gardener and my grandfather was also a gardener, and so he's access to this when you'd be doing like pruning and stuff too, and so he would get a bunch of fir boughs
hmm
of different types. And he and my grandfather would make lots of sort of wreaths and not exactly like a wreath, but like just sort of a sprig of things, sort of a bunch of
Right.
boughs kind of bound together with like red ribbon and
Mhm.
stuff. And then one thing that we would do often, sort of not right at Christmas, but leading up to Christmas, because my grandparents would come into town sort of for the Christmas
Mhm.
season, is we would go and lay the wreaths on family graves and stuff.
Mm.
At the-
Right. Okay.
At
Yeah.
there's in Victoria, there's one specific cemetery that has a large portion of the Saunders and Burgess, my mother's family,
Hmm.
and they always talk about they always talk about like, oh, you're in the good part of it, like they have like
Different plots.
yeah, they have different plots. It's like, oh, you guys got under the tree. That's so nice. All that stuff. But they have, and so put the wreaths there and stuff. And it's one of those things where it's, of course, it's a thing that is more sort of a tradition, and obviously it's for the people, for the people putting this stuff on the
Yeah.
grave, as opposed to any
Yeah.
actual dead people.
Yeah. Well, funerals are for the living.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was kind of a neat thing to do, just sort of to remember people and recognize, especially around the time of year when
Hmm.
the rest of the family. I mean, I don't have that big a family, my extended family is not that big, and so when most of the families are coming together to recognize the people who aren't there for whatever reason. Often a lot of the people I never actually knew
Right.
personally myself. So that was, I mean, we haven't really done that too much. But like I said, over time, especially since my brother and I have left home, my brother is usually, he is not just not at home, but is in other countries and stuff. The Christmas traditions tend to be a little bit,
More
bit
austere.
trickier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that we usually have done many years is usually Christmas will be like one time my brother is back in town,
Mm-hmm.
as he's for a long time he was living back east in Toronto and then Waterloo and then in Boston, and he's now living in Italy, doing first he was a PhD student and now he's a graduate student, and then he was now he's actually like a researcher.
Right.
And so he has to kind of go where the work is. And so Christmas is one of the main times that he would come home. And so that was sort of a thing that we had a tradition, or we have a tradition of sort of going away over Christmas, just sort of our very close, there's sort of the big Christmas bash of, the whole sort of as much of the extended family as possible kind of coming together for Christmas dinner or whatever.
Right.
And then usually the day after or a couple of days after, between Christmas and New Year's, just the four of us, my parents and my brother and myself, would go away to just like, usually it would be just like a cabin like on one of the Gulf Islands, like on Galliano or maybe even just up island, or just like not very far away, but just that sort of having that physical distance, as opposed to just hanging out at home.
Yeah.
And you're not even really doing stuff that you couldn't, you're just like reading and
Right.
hanging out and doing all the stuff that you could be doing at home, but somehow having that sort of physical distance and kind of forced togetherness, I guess.
Right.
That was always kind of a nice thing that we would do. Unfortunately, this year my brother isn't able to come back for Christmas, but it's probably something we will do again in the future.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was kind of a nice thing. And usually, it would be like 3 or 4 days, and usually that's enough. At that point, it's like, that's enough family togetherness now. Let's go our separate ways.
Yeah.
And not talk to each other for another year. No,
So, like,
just kidding.
the one thing that I do miss as a vegetarian is my dad's turkey, right? Because he's a fabulous cook, and man,
The turducken doesn't, or the
tofurkey
tofurkey doesn't really cut it.
My mom has to make extra stuffing.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
Myself and my sister and Kathleen are all ravenous for stuffing.
Yep. It's awesome. Stuffing
right.
is great.
Yeah.
My parents figured out the thing where you don't cook the turkey with the stuffing in the turkey. Because cooking the turkey with the stuffing in it makes the turkey take forever to cook. That's why there's always a thing with like first thing in the morning, like wake up and put the turkey in, right?
Yep.
Right.
Whereas if you cook it separately, then the turkey cooks.
My mom cooks it in the turkey and also separately.
Yeah.
She needs the extra.
Because you just need more.
Yeah, you need the volume. Like there's also a casserole dish full of
bigger,
stuffing.
It's like,
you
I don't have
turkey with a bigger hole in the
I
middle.
don't have a big enough saucepan to make all this stuffing. I guess I'll store some of it in the turkey.
Yeah.
It's sort of on that level.
You just need you need a turkey with just a big hole, and you less turkey, more hole for stuffing. is
Yeah,
really
it's
what
like
you need.
what's the NASA drive, the Alcubierre drive, where it's like they're trying to like optimize the space inside the bubble that they make, but they also need to make the ring around it thick enough to like lower the energy.
Yeah.
So it's like you need the meat ring around the stuffing cavity, but there's probably no exact solution for it, but there's a family of
I like this.
yeah.
I like this.
I'm just imagining, that there's some like farm that's like breeding turkeys, optimizing for stuffing space as opposed to deliciousness.
Yeah, it's like
Or whatever.
we've bred a turkey that grows 17 gizzards just to force open the abdominal cavity more.
It's just the turkey is just like a cylinder with like wings.
yeah. Give it another couple of millennia. I'm sure we'll get there.
I'd be interested
Like-
in that newsletter.
Like what's the Saturday morning breakfast cereal strip where it's like they're all gathered around for Christmas dinner, and it's like, and we would also like to give, or no, I guess it's Thanksgiving because they're giving thanks, but giving thanks to evolution, which has turned several species of dinosaurs into balls of meat with tiny heads.
I think that's actually a thing with because that's like a Canadian American thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have our Thanksgiving in October.
Yeah.
And America has it in November. Usually in America you have from what I understand, somebody will probably correct me on this, but often people will have turkey at Thanksgiving and then like ham or something at Christmas.
At Christmas,
Yeah, because you've already done
the big turkey thing.
I've understood
Whereas-
that to be the case, yeah.
Whereas
In
Canada,
in many situations,
in
not
Canada,
exclusively.
it's been like, 2.5
months, yeah.
months. So it's like, yeah, we're fine with another
Yeah,
turkey.
you've basically
on.
run out of turkey at that point.
Yeah, we finally used up all the turkey leftovers.
Yeah,
so we
depleted
need
the
another
Thanksgiving
one.
turkey.
The actually,
Yes, hot turkey sandwiches, very good.
or cold turkey sandwiches. The point
Turkey
is,
soup.
you get the stuffing in the stuffing, the cranberry sauce in the sandwich. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
speaking of Canadian American things and relating to Thanksgiving, so up until I think I feel like national retailers really made their biggest push last year, but up until very recently, Canada did not observe Black Friday, your national holiday of import in the U.S. Because, as Paul mentioned, our Thanksgiving is in October, so there's no sort of structural reason for Black Friday, because Thanksgiving is on Thursday, and then you go shopping for Christmas on Friday. There's no,
Right.
we don't have that reasoning. But what we do have is Boxing Day,
Yeah.
and that's the day after Christmas.
We did a whole video about it. in
Yeah,
fact.
and that's when
We go ape shit.
all the crazy deals happen. And
Yeah.
so one of our Christmas traditions has been, you do all the Christmas and everything with your family, and then on Boxing Day, we all go out together, and we're like, all right, who's buying a TV this year?
Yeah.
that's-
It's like the ultimate. Like everyone loves Boxing Day, but it's this weird feel bad thing where you're like, oh man, I bought this at full retail and now it's like 20% off.
Yeah.
Boxing Day also, it's also the buy yourself all the stuff that you wanted for Christmas but nobody got you,
Yeah.
Yeah, but now
Or-
it's cheaper.
or take back things that people gave you for Christmas
Yep.
and use the credit to buy things.
Yeah.
And
all of these things work.
all the while, James circles around you, trying to convince you to
Buy a
some
TV.
sort of expensive electronics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Another thing that we've done for several years is the Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I haven't gone as often as other people, and you're usually out of town. But a bunch of the other guys, they have their family commitments done around 8 or 9-ish, and then there's usually a movie opening on Christmas, and so everyone will go see that.
I've done it a
see
few
that
times.
movie. Yeah, it's been happening for God,
What was it last year?
10 years. I can't remember, but I do know that one of them was Alien versus Predator.
Oh.
No, that was, dude, I've never laughed so hard at a non-comedy movie.
Yeah, no, like the
You
part at
can't
the end
feel-
where they're running away from the explosion.
In slow motion, and
And,
it's the Predator's dreads and her hair, and they're just like, they look like the same person.
Yeah, and it's like you can hear a toilet flush.
The scene, it's the bit where it looks like they're about to kiss.
Right.
That's when we couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So
Oh,
usually it'll be like some sort of action movie too, like a very
Yeah.
like non-Christmassy
Oh yeah,
movie.
pointedly non-Christmas.
Yeah. Well, this year it's going to be Star Wars, right?
I mean, isn't
James is out of town this year.
What?
Yeah,
What?
No.
No.
He's the instigator.
I know. That's the thing. He's gonna be.
He's
gonna
the
be
one with the
up with,
van.
Also that.
How are we
he's
going to
gonna be
get
up with-
anywhere?
He's gonna be up with Ashley's family, I think.
Oh.
James.
I know. He's leaving us all alone.
Can he
on
leave the
Christmas.
van? We'll have to get a hold of him and
Yeah.
see if this is feasible.
No.
But anyway, it's.
I don't know how long we've been talking for.
No, neither have I.
Ian's going to find out.
Oh,
Ian's
all right.
been timing it. Ian, who was astonished when I mentioned Mac Addict. Oh, it hasn't even been 40 minutes yet.
Really?
That's a +5. That's a hell
Okay.
of a chronometer on your iPhone there.
Mhm.
Big stopwatch. Is that what the app is called? It's called Big Stopwatch. All right, well, here we are.
Very dynamic looking.
Okay. Lights. This isn't a tradition per se, but it is one of my like enduring visual memories from Christmas as a child. Because on this big ass house my parents used to live in, we would put lights across the balcony on the front of the house, which sucked, by the way, because it was myself and my dad, and it was typically night and freezing cold, and you couldn't manipulate the twist ties with gloves, and it was just like, why are we doing this? But it looked great after the fact, and also my bedroom had a window that looked onto the balcony, but of course I had like big thick curtains or whatever. But when I'm lying in bed at night and all the lights are off, but all the interior lights are off, but the Christmas lights on the balcony were still on, they would shine in above the curtain and get broken up by the curtain rings, and so I'd have these rainbow colors just like sort of firing across the white ceiling, just like spreading out from the window. This just like rainbow of colors, and I just remember as a very young kid lying in bed and going, "This is neat."
Cool.
I always thought that looked nice.
I like that.
Yeah, the Victoria, especially certain, and this is not unique, obviously, but certain neighborhoods in Victoria go kind of nuts with the Christmas lights.
Yeah, there's a house just down from where I live that needs help.
There's one near my parents' new place that's also pretty crazy over on Tuxedo Drive.
Right.
It's a whole like, they have a donation bin. Like you go into their property and it's all over the place. But there used to be a place on Tattersall that the whole block got into it. Like every house on the block did, and it was spurred on by this one family.
I always thought that'd be kind of crappy. You're like, imagine if you're someone who's like just not that, like you're fine, like you're a fine person, you're just not that into it.
Yeah.
And everyone on the block's like, come on, it'll look stupid.
So
you'd be like, oh, for fun.
So here's the thing, because it was a husband and wife getting on a bit in years who were sort of the main driving forces behind it. And year after year, this was a massive like local tourist attraction for people to like drive out there and drive up and down the road and look at all the amazing houses. The husband passed away, and the wife couldn't do it by herself, obviously, because it was a massive undertaking. It needed two people. And the rest of the residents on the block were like, in his memory, we won't be doing it anymore.
Nice.
And you just sort of assume then that the rest of the block was like, well, I guess we have to put
Honor
the lights
the-
up.
yeah.
And so then when he finally passed away, they were like, oh, darn.
Oh,
What a shame that he died. That sucks. Phew.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We will honor him by not doing this.
By not
we're
doing the
finally
thing
free.
he wanted to do. Exactly.
Yeah.
finally free.
So yeah, you're probably not far off the mark there.
I remember in
One night I had an 18-foot inflatable snowman.
in my grandma's old apartment block. There was always, I love apartment blocks because there's always the thing where it'd be like, most people do nothing. There'll be like a couple people who like put lights around their
On
The
on
balcony.
their balcony or
Yeah.
something. But then often there'll be just like one place that's just like the person has gone from the edge of like their dominion on the outside of the building in like a perfect square. So
Yeah.
they've taken all the space that they possibly can that they control and just covered it completely with lights.
Yeah.
It's just like in the middle of this mostly dark apartment block.
I do
It's
like
really
that.
awesome.
I do like that. Do you have any plans, Ian, for your building? None whatsoever. All right. I mean, it's your first Christmas there, isn't it? Or no? You moved in just before Desert Bus last
My
year.
first Christmas here was shooting things with you for the Rumble.
I remember that.
Oh,
yes.
right.
Right.
Yes. That part, I can't believe I didn't record anything even on my phone for that, because the loading time for the Rumble just went up finally. And yeah, Ian and I went downtown on Christmas morning, super early, to get shots of abandoned downtown Victoria streets, because it was the best time to do it. Looked good.
Yeah.
It was
I guess
it was way creepy being downtown on Christmas morning, but
I guess one Christmas tradition that we're doing for a long time, not anymore, is trying to come up with yet another Loading Ready Run Christmas sketch. But like, what other possible aspect of Christmas have we not covered yet?
yeah, that's some good ones. I should put together a.
Curmudgeonly.
I think I did this
Yeah.
before. I should put together a playlist.
A playlist of all the Christmas stuff. Yeah.
YouTube. I think I did that, but I will put that together. I'll link it again if I can find it.
Some years we've actually done multiples, depending on.
Yeah, which is a big mistake. We did multiple Desert Bus ones one year as well, and the next year we were like, "Why did we do that? We used two ideas in 1 year.
Yeah,
Right.
That was a dumb idea." Oh well. Anyway,
Tis the season.
tis the season indeed. I think that's a good look into
So in
some of our
conclusion,
Christmas traditions.
we need to stop taking Christ out of Christmas,
Yeah, we feel that
or possibly we need to take Christ out of Christmas. Maybe
you
there's
just
too much.
miss.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start putting other things into there.
They had this is
Vishnumas.
this is a weird tradition. They had the truck parade.
Oh, yeah.
Recently. Is this a thing that happens in other cities? This is all the commercial trucking vehicles in Victoria trucks and then drive around the city.
With like Christmas
honking.
lights.
Yeah, they decorate it with Christmas lights and they honk. We went outside and we're like, is there a brass band repeatedly falling down the stairs?
Yeah,
And we were
no, like it was really windy that night, and it sounded like in 2001 the Grigori the Ligeti Requiem because it was like bouncing.
To me,
echoing.
it sounded like a high school orchestra who'd never actually played the instruments, just going meep, 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 and we're walking around going, "Where is this coming from? I think it's from this direction." And James is like, "Where are you going?" We're like, "We're trying to figure out what this noise is." He's like, "It's the truck parade." We're like, "Oh." But there's this. It's the lead into that is that there was one that was like a shipping company. It was a bare flatbed truck, and it just drove by with the letters "Jesus is the reason" on it. And that was it. Not for the season. It was just Jesus is the reason.
Yeah.
And like sentence fragment. What
Yeah,
reason for
obviously.
what?
Sorry, you were the truck parade.
Well, saying what I like about the truck parade is that, as opposed to most parades, for one thing, it's at night.
Yep.
And for another thing, at least maybe it was to me. Maybe it was more obvious, but at least to me, there didn't seem to be a lot of like warning that it was going to be happening.
Right.
And
Traffic was really annoying.
and there wasn't like
I couldn't get home.
There weren't people like lined up on the streets watching it, except for
really.
people who have been like walking and be like, "Whoa, what's that?"
Yeah.
Like there weren't like
or people like us who were standing at
there
the
weren't, like,
sidewalk going, "Why can't
kids,
I get to
and-
burgers?"
And so it was one of those things where like they didn't seem to have actually like, because they're it's like a bunch of giant trucks, so they're
Yeah.
like, we don't have to block off the street, we're just gonna go,
Yeah.
and nobody can stop us.
My favorite part about that particular truck parade was that they held it on the fire route.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
there was a fire, and all the fire trucks couldn't get out, and they were like driving along, and like it was like,
Everyone's
oh well,
honking.
somebody's a big man here with their
'cause
fire trucks.
There was fire
Ooh.
trucks in the truck parade as well.
Yeah.
And the ones they were driving past the firehouse and their sirens are going off and the parade is not acting any differently. And I'm like, they don't know those are real sirens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
It's
think
li-
that that's just the people getting excited. And then
Yeah.
eventually, finally, they're like, and they
Oh.
move over and the actual fire trucks come out.
Because it's like the things a fire truck does to attract attention are flash its lights and make loud honking noises.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is what all the cars were doing.
Yeah.
yeah.
The fire trucks actually looked a little shabby in terms of they
Yeah,
were
it's
like,
like-
you guys need more lights.
Yeah, it's like,
you
well,
clearly
somebody-
aren't showing off enough Christmas spirit.
When I said, do other towns do this, Ian shook his head, and he's from Edmonton, which is a much bigger city. I'm curious if other places do a truck parade, because it sounds very weird. Again, this is just random commercial vehicles, like and trucks, like semi-cabs, moving vans.
Yeah.
The post office. Actually, the post
Yeah,
office
the
van
post
was
office one-
amazingly
yeah, it
well
was
decorated.
really well done.
Buses.
Yeah, they wrap them in lights, and then they
I like
drive
the-
around honking.
There's sometimes like what do you call it? Cement mixers
Mm.
with the like
And they
lights
spin.
wrapped around and then
It's
they
nice.
spin.
Yeah,
So it looks really cool. I feel like again, it's like maybe one of those things that's like being spearheaded by like one or two people,
Yeah.
yeah.
getting kind of everybody on board,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all kind of like, okay.
But
Yeah.
the problem is, from like a marketing perspective, if I can tell what like brand you are, like if I can like read your logo or company name on the side of the truck, then you've done a piss poor job of actually decorating it with lights.
Right.
So it's
Some people
Except
actually-
for Canada Post.
except for Canada
truck.
Post.
Yeah.
somebody
because
actually
they just did because
you pick out the logo in lights.
well the Canada Post truck is like red and blue with like a stripe of white separating them, and they just covered that with red, blue, and white lights. They just
Right.
did the truck paint
In lights. And it was
that was amazing.
Yeah, it looked really pretty.
But when it's someone just like sort of they're like a box truck and they just put the lights like up, down, left, right, just like one string around the box truck, it's like you guys didn't really try.
Yeah. It was like
Thanks for coming out.
a very festive Mad Max. Right? You have I have expected to
really
see like
was.
Santa hammering on a guitar that's also like
oh
a
man,
tinsel thrower.
That sounds amazing.
you could totally. Oh man, someone could totally do that. Just like do a, a crazy like edit of the Mad Max thing, and just like rotoscope in like Christmas lights on everybody's vehicle.
That'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Sounds like a lot of work. Anyway,
Anyway,
we got sort of distracted at the end while I was trying to sign off, but let us know your Christmas traditions because I'm sure that yours are different from ours. Or if you are not a Christmas celebrator, what do you do this month? What's up? What's up with you? Till next time, remember that our podcasts are brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Please check that out. And and a heads up, actually, sort of a teeny bit of business keeping, bookkeeping. What's it called? Yeah, a little bit of business relating to the Patreon. They have changed how they display totals to factor in Patreon fees and expected like support that isn't there. Like it only counts before Patreon displayed the amount that people pledge. Now it displays the actual amount that we net from Patreon.
or close to it anyway.
Close to it, roughly speaking. So what that means is before you'd have like if you have like 3 people saying $10, it'd be like $30 of support. But now they deduct the Patreon fee and say if one of those people has pledged at $10 but it didn't go through, then it'll be like it'll say like $16 because it's eliminating one of those people and cutting the like a couple dollars out of the
and
the
also
tens, so.
credit card processing fees.
And credit card processing fees. So if you're wondering why there's been changes to everyone's Patreons, that's why. That also means that we will have to be adjusting the totals for our milestones. I realize that it's a little weird because we've already like hit the milestones, so it's not super relevant, but we will be adjusting the milestone totals because they were factoring in the cost with all the fees and everything.
Yeah.
And since that now has come down, then we can reduce the milestone number because now they don't match up. So that's why that is.
Yeah. That was apparently a big shock to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, well, because they didn't tell people very well. Also, they were beta testing it on some people's Patreons and not others, and not telling people that.
Yeah.
I
So
would
it's
have
like,
thought that they
20% of my Patreon has just vanished this month.
Yeah.
Right in time for Christmas.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I would have thought they would have put like a big banner on everybody's page or something.
I would have thought that too. But
All right.
Bye.
And thank you for listening.
Go away now. We're done. Okay.